joins us in the national anthem as we raise the cup to the flag.
Careful, we're going to outnumber you out there. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Hardin County Airport Authority, I'd like to welcome you to this rededication ceremony for the Hardin County Airport. 25 years ago, this was the site of our original dedication service, and we had some very, very fine dignitaries here that day, including Governor Rhodes and Norm Crabtree, who was the division head of the aviation department for the state of Ohio at that time, and Ernie Webb. And we also had our county commissioners at that time, and they were Nelson Carmine, Don Weinbrenner, and a fellow by the name of Charlie Hubble. And it was my pleasure to work with a lot of the guys, and they were great, great fellows, believe me. And at that time, this thing got started a little bit earlier than 1967. It goes back to about 1963, really. And there was a committee of the Kenton Area Chamber of Commerce that really purchased the land from the New York Central Railroad, and then they purchased some more land, and eventually they had 110 acres of ground out here. And if you look, you'll see some of the old railroad site over on the left, and they still own some of that railroad, Penn Central does. There was a fund drive staged in September 1965 with Harry Case, and many of you remember Harry. He was the editor of the Kenton Times for many, many years. He was a campaign chairman, and a sufficient amount of money was donated by local firms and individuals to purchase the additional land and other costs for the construction of the airport. The airport was incorporated in September of 1965, and the construction was started in June of 1966. The paving was completed, and the port was ready to use in November of 1966. The state aid of $100,000 was received, and completion of the airport was possible with the actual $70,000 raised locally. We had the official dedication on October 1st, 1967, and it was a beautiful day, about like this. We had a storm the day before, a rainstorm came through, and I know all of us were a little bit nervous about that, but the next day was cool, it was nice, bright and shiny, and was really, really appreciated by everybody. On that original group of that original airport authority, there's two fellows here today that were on that and really helped get this thing off the ground. One of them later became a county commissioner too, and that's Stu Rogers. Stu? Okay, and he's got those dark glasses on. I didn't recognize him a little bit ago. Tim Poland. Tim over here. And you know that Tim Poland is still a member of that Hardin County Airport Authority. And an oddity also is that Stu isn't no longer a member of that particular authority, but his son is, Randy. Randy over here is a member of it. So it's kind of a unique thing. I think we ought to introduce, first of all, the county commissioners who are the present county commissioners, and those are Howard Watkins. All right, and Mr. Rogers, I believe that's Wayne Rogers, isn't it, of BP Oil, I believe it is. Boy, I hate to say that. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. That and a quarter. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Come down and buy some more gas, Wayne. See you Monday. And Bradley Campbell, ladies and gentlemen. That's the three county commissioners that are presently there. Let's take a look at those members of the Hardin County Airport Authority that are there now. those members are appointed by the Hardin County Commissioners, and the president of the group is Tom Eibling. Tom? There he is. I don't remember that last name, Eibling. I worked with a guy with that name for about 6 years as a county commissioner. His dad, Lawrence Sr. Wasn't a bad guy either, you know that? Wasn't bad at all, no. Okay, and then vice president is Richard Hubbard. Dick, there you are, okay. Secretary is Merlene Barnes, the lady that led you in the singing over there, Merlene. Okay, we mentioned Randy Rogers, Tim Poland, Gene Good, Clay Flynn, Jerry Stout. Flynn, you know, he happens to be the mayor, so be careful with him, guys. Just kind of watch him real close. He's an acrobatic pilot, too, I understand. I'm not sure what that means. Okay. Yeah, okay. Jerry Stout, John Anderson, Brenda Broski. How'd you ever get with that bunch, Brenda? I don't know. Okay. They are a good group, though, I'll tell you that right now. They try to keep this airport maintained for all of us, and they recently completed the airport office remodeling project, and the Hardin County Economic Growth Team has placed a beautiful display case that was built by Keith Kistling. It's in the office to display pictures and articles of the Hardin County area, and Merlene tells me that she has some articles in there about the original dedication service 25 years ago that you might want to take a look at. It's got pictures and articles that were in the Kenton Times. This airport is vitally involved in economic development. You know, Governor Rhodes's big theme, and I don't remember how many of you remember Governor Rhodes very well, but in his first 2 terms as governor of the state of Ohio, he had 2 great projects that he really liked to push. One of them was vocational training for our kids. The second was the airport program that he put together. Both were excellent programs. And this is an example of that airport program. He felt that if everybody could, you know, have a decent education and get a job, we don't have welfare problems. And he was just as right then as it is today. It's kind of a unique situation to see the present politicians all saying the same thing that he said 25 years ago. We have also with us today a very distinguished gentleman, our state representative, Charlie Brading. Charlie, would you like to say something, Charlie?
Thank you very much, Cliff. I'm going to be brief for a politician. I'm very pleased. It's a great day in Hardin County. You know, this is you ordered the right weather, and it's a great day over in Ada at the Herb Fest where we were a little earlier, and I'm very pleased to be joining all you folks today to celebrate this momentous occasion. And I think Governor Rhodes had a lot of foresight 25 years ago. I can remember when the Auglaize County Airport was built just about the same time, and at that time, as Cliff said, the word was economic development and jobs, and I think that this commission should be commended for the great facility you have here, and I'm sure it'll continue to grow in the future. It's very nice to be with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. We also have the gentleman now who is the chief of Ohio Division of Aviation, and he was here the day the dedication service was put together too, John Cornett. In fact, he was the pilot that flew the governor in that day in the DC-3. So, John, come on up here.
Thanks, and welcome to Hardin County, the world's finest airport. Now, if you don't think I haven't said that before, you got another thing coming, because we've got 83 just like them. But I do want to tell you about what this airport does mean to us in the great state of Ohio, as well as to the fact that Ohio is the birthplace of aviation. You know, when I was going to come up here today, I thought, what in the world am I going to talk about that's different than what I talk about every day of the week? So I was going to get a hat out this morning to wear up here to keep my bald head away from the sunshine, and decided I couldn't decide on which hat I was to wear. So I brought 3 with me. But you know, Ohio does have to wear many hats. For example, not all of you know, this is the Helicopter Association International, by the way, that the helicopter was first invented in Ohio, long before Igor Sikorsky. Thomas Alva Edison did a lot of experimentation in the 1870s in helicopters. And he actually had a functioning machine, one that on paper at least would have worked. His only problem was he tried to develop recycling at the same time. All of you know that he was working on many things, including the light bulb. One of those things was the ticker tape machine. That's who put Thomas Alva in business. The ticker tape machine, he didn't know what to do with the ticker tape, so he decided to take the ticker tape, mix it with gunpowder for fuel inside of his helicopter. His recycling project did not work. It was a little bit before time. If he was alive today, he'd probably be a master that we put up front every time we talk about EPA or anything else. But back then, he had an accident using the gunpowder and ticker tape and blew up one of his assistants, along with the first functioning helicopter in the United States. Now, we all know about the Wright brothers, born and raised just very close to here. In fact, in 2 weeks, well, actually in 1 week, next Saturday I go down and get to speak and sit next to all my brethren in the United States that are just like me. I always have to sit next to that guy from North Carolina who claims that they were first in flight. Every year he gives the same speech about being first in flight, and every year I stand up and say, "May you be damned for saying something like that," because the only thing North Carolina was the hot air to get our machine off the ground that was built in Ohio. But there are many people who don't and haven't lived long enough to realize we had many other intrepid airmen. I'll show you some of their pictures. If I had slides today, I'd show you those. That guy right there in 1851 was the intrepid young man on the flying trapeze. Now, his name was Washington Harrison Donaldson. For those of you who knew anything about P.T. Barnum, that was his guy who attracted people to circuses when it came to town, including Hardin County. Washington Harrison Donaldson. And he would go up in a hot air balloon and attract the folks. One day he decided that not only would he attempt it in a hot air balloon by himself, but he would ride a straddle of a horse and lift it off the ground. Consequently, the machine didn't get off the ground. He dragged through a steeple in Ohio, Columbus, and was run out of town, was the first guy run out of town trying to put aviation in a community in the United States because he tried to get a horse up. Now, this guy in the 1850s in Ohio was a college professor by the name of Thurston. He was an aerialist also, balloonist. He has the dubious distinction of being the first guy to ride upside down on a balloon. When he attempted to deflate it, it rolled over. Those days they didn't have cutaway panels on the balloons. It reinserted up his backside, and the last anyone ever saw him, he floated across Lake Erie saying, "Where do I go from here?" This guy, Thaddeus Constantine Lowe, a Cincinnatian, who for a long time was an Ohioan that held the long-distance record in ballooning. The only problem was in the 1860s, 1861 to be exact, is the wind changed as he lifted off the ground for his several-mile journey, and when he touched down, he was in Unionville, South Carolina, arrested as a Yankee spy for the interment of the Civil War. So we have many, many people of distinguished characters in Ohio that are aviators, besides all these back here and all you out there. I already told you about the Wizard of Monroe Park. But seriously, did you know that besides the airplane, this was the first state to have an airport? That was Huffman Prairie, Ohio. This was the first state to have a seaplane base. Lord help us, we want to get them going again I see that 185 sitting out there. Want to get some more seaplane bases, but it was the first seaplane base in the United States was in Ohio. The dirigibles and blimps were born in Ohio. Air freight, a bolt of silk from Dayton to Columbus, was the first commercial flight in the United States, corporate or otherwise, for freight. Coast-to-coast flying was born in this state. The air traffic control system was born in this state. Night flying was born in this state. Flight instruction was born in this state. The pressurized cabin, the propeller, the parachute, and NASA, that's why I'm wearing this hat, was born in this state, and the FAA. Now, some people say we mistakenly built that outfit, but nevertheless, it was born here. All of you know about John Glenn, Rickenbacker, Lincoln Beachley, the first guy to do a loop-de-loop, Curtis LeMay, but we had many ladies as well. Jerry Mock, Judy Resnick, many of the astronauts today, our descendants of you all, right here as well. The Waco, the Taylorcraft, the Barling bomber, the Martin bomber. Many of the first aircraft were born in this state. Thompson Products, Continental Airlines, Boss Kettering, invented the starter and the battery. Ohioans that we're very proud of that had something to do with aviation. Timken Bearings, Rockwell, North American, Wrights. I mean, it actually brings tears to your eyes of the contributions that this state's made. And yes, do you know where the county airport program started? Hardin County, Ohio was the first ones to invite us up in 1963. Stuart Rogers invited us to come up and speak to the Rotary Club. And the guy previously mentioned here, who has long passed away, Ernie Webb, and I came up that night. That was the very beginning of the county airport program in Ohio. So you've got something quite well to be proud of. And also the jobs. There are 13,000 people that are managing airports in Ohio and doing other things like flight instruction. There are 297,000 people in this state that are in the aviation manufacturing business, third in the country. It's a $21 billion industry, and 60,000 jobs came to Ohio because of the county airport program. And of course, I'm not going to go on today and signify, because we've got problems today in aviation. You've all heard them. My gosh, the airplanes are falling out of the sky, according to some folks. There shouldn't be airports when there's people living in boxes. There shouldn't be airports when we need to have education for our children and those kinds of things. But you have to remember one thing. All that is out there is access to your community. It's just 1 mile of county highway, dead end, with Christmas tree lights around it. And if you can have 300 or 400 miles of county road in this community, you can certainly afford 1 more mile to get people in and out of here that need air access. As far as the safety, last year we killed 19 people in Ohio in airplanes. 19. Now, I don't want one death. That's what I work on every day of my life. Not one death in aviation is the goal. But we killed 19 people in this state on rollerblades last year. That's the comparison. And a little thing I've got here to conclude that's a little interesting is something that came out of a newspaper in Columbus, if I haven't drifted it away in the wind, that I'd like to read to you. We all talk about the papers not giving us service in aviation, or at least a fair chance. But I want to say that the Columbus Dispatch did a pretty fair job of coming up with it in April of this year. They came out with the actual statistics, or as you know, the people that play or poker or anything else around here, the odds. Now, the odds are that you'll regain weight after a diet is 90 and 100. And you're looking at the guy that did it 90 times in 100. A smoker will try to quit 71 in 100 times. A wife will outlive her husband 70 in 100 times. We all know why that is, don't we, guys? You'll avoid imprisonment if convicted 60 in 100 times. A college freshman will graduate 50 in 100. You'll undergo an IRS audit this year, 1 in 100. A high school player will play in the Super Bowl, 1 in 4,000. The earth will be devastated by a meteorite in your lifetime, 1 in 9,000. You'll be hit by a baseball in a major league game, 1 in 300,000. You'll be dealt a royal flush in your opening hand, 1 in 649,000. And a passenger will be killed in an airplane, 1 in 4.6 million. That's the stats. That's the truth. So all I gotta tell you is, be careful tonight of those meteorites. Have a good one today.
Good enough there, John. That was all right. There were a few other trustees that were involved in the planning process for this airport, and I like to read the names of these folks. Some of them aren't here anymore, but one of them is Bob Riegel, Dr. Wendell Zering, Robert Phillips, Reverend C. Kent Chittister, and Sam Alt. Sam's here with us. Right here he is. I believe that Mayor Flynn has a presentation he'd like to make at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Clay Flynn. Let's hear it for him. Not too loudly, not too loudly. Mr. Flynn, how are you? Nice to see you.
Yeah, Tom Eibling, if you come up here a minute, President of the Airport Authority. As Mayor of the City of Kenton, on behalf of the City Administration, I do have one presentation I'd like to make to Tom. We realize that this is a county facility, but we in the City of Kenton are equally proud of it. We realize the importance of it, as Mr. Cornett said, as far as economic development and what it does for Kenton and the Hardin County community. And for that purpose, Tom, I'd like to present you with this key to the City of Kenton. I hope you can find a place in our newly decorated lounge to put that. I know you can handle it because there's no moving parts and it's fully automatic. So, Tom, thank you very much. We appreciate what you guys are doing, you and the commission.
Well, thank you, Clay. I really appreciate this key. I hope it works at one of the parking meters. I'd like to thank everybody for coming here and all the airport authority for helping to get this all arranged. We did have an awful nice day, so I guess the good Lord provided us with one tremendous day. So everybody kind of enjoy it, and I think we'll be having aerobatics here in just a few minutes, along with more parachuters. And then at 3 o'clock, we'll be starting our airplane rides. So back to Cliff.
Very, very nice, Tom. You got a lot of your old man in you, Tom. I can tell that right now, by God. Your old man was a character, believe me, he was. But a nice one. We do have a couple of, I have 3 communications from different public officials. One of them from Howard Metzenbaum, and Howard cites the fact that he thinks it's a great pleasure that to offer my sincere congratulations and best wishes to everyone involved with the Hardin County Airport on this momentous occasion. We also have a communication from State Senator Ben Gath. He says he regrets he couldn't be here today, but he certainly wishes us good luck and success at the ceremony. And lastly but not least, we have one from John Glenn who says same thing, says thank you very much for inviting me, but I can't be there today. I surely appreciate your thinking of me, and I regret that I'm unable to accept. I have a long-standing commitment on that date, but once again, thank you for thinking of me. Best regards, John Glenn. It's been a long, unique 25 years in our history of our country, and I think that this airport has helped contribute to a better part of the history for our county. I know there's a lot of people out there who say, well, what do we need an airport for? But if you work with any industry at all in your job, and you're industry related, you find out real quick like what an airport means to a community. And this has been a good one. They've done a fine job, all these people over the years, and 25 years is a long time, but not really. So let's just hope that everybody keeps their nose to the grindstone, continues to do a good job, and I'm sure our entire county will profit from that. Thank you for your time. Mr. Iving, you have any comments to make? Well, I'd like to turn this back over to you, sir, for your presentation of what's going to happen here with the flights and so on. So Mr. Iving is going to come back, and he's going to tell you about what's going to happen the rest of the afternoon, and I'm going to get out of here. I thank you for your attention, everybody.
Is there any former people on the board that has been on the Airport Authority? Hold your hand up, and Keith Kinnear back here. Dick Bouchon, but I don't see him, I guess. Well, I'd like to thank all you guys for coming up here, and I do appreciate the Division of Aviation out of Ohio coming up here. It's always nice to see you guys. And thank you, Cliff, for all your words of wisdom, be it what they may. Cliff and I had a good talk up here a little while ago, and he's pretty enlightening. So I hope Ray is about airborne, and I hope the parachuters are about airborne. They should be, once they get, we'll have that, and then we'll go into our air tours. Make sure all of you sign your name. That's all you got to do. And if I understand right, Randy, age 18 on the kids? Yeah, blue. Well, make sure you got your name. Put your name in the thing for a free hot air balloon ride. There'll be 2 of them given away, and it'll come off somewhere about 6 o'clock tonight. Also, make sure if you'd like to attend the breakfast tomorrow, you can either fly in or drive in. If you don't have a plane, please drive in. It's kind of hard to fly in without one. I think Clay could do it. I watched Clay do his aerobatics here. The aerobatic pilot this afternoon is going to be Don Baker from Bluffton. The parachuters, again, will be the same ones that performed a little bit ago. It looked like one might have been drugged through the bean field a little bit, but it looked like they did a pretty decent job out there. And they'll be going out again with Ray Thomas. I'd like to thank you and have a good time up here.
Yeah, I did do that. scarf?
He was here. I just saw him.
You just said that.
Down here.
I'll remember that,
That's one me and Adam will write it. $10.
The water.
What? Is this a water one?
Adam, honey, don't climb on him, okay?
Now. Daddy, I want to see this one. I think it's best to go up before she